Yeah. So I'm called Dr. Ibrahim Wanyama. I'm from a consultancy group called Environment and Earth Sciences Consult. We are tasked by TechnoServe to assess the farmers under the hot map projects. These farmers are in eastern Uganda, in central and western Uganda. So TechnoServe is supporting farmers to improve on the production of horticultural products, and it's also linking up these farmers to the market, so that farmers can get good prices from their horticultural products. But one most important thing that TechnoServe considers, which is also a global agenda, is for the farmers to produce sustainably, to produce without affecting the environment, and also to produce in such a way that the future generations can also be able to produce from the natural resources, and that's the agricultural land. So what we are doing for this work, we assessed the soil health, because most of the crops, they come from soils. So we assess the soil health. How are the farmers, are they producing in a sustainable way? And then also the carbon footprint. We know that as much as agriculture is affected by climate change, but also agricultural activities produce greenhouse gases which cause climate change. So we assessed how are the farmers producing, how are they affecting on the on the greenhouse gas emissions. And so we found this assessment, and this is what we have been presenting to the farmers at all the value chains. At the farm level, how is the soil health, how are the greenhouse gas what emissions, and then also transport level, what are the transport means, and then also in the market level, what are the post-harvest handling losses. And we found that most of the greenhouse gas emissions are coming from the market waste. And so this market waste are a result of farmers bringing products in the market, and then most of the products go to waste. Why is this happening? Most of the damage, these post-harvest handling losses are due to damages on these horticultural products, and most of it happens at the farm level. And this is because of the misuse of agricultural products, harvesting at the wrong time, and even transportation of these products. If they use maybe say borders, most of the products can be damaged along the way. But TechnoServe has tried to improve on the transportation by facilitating this farmer group on acquiring tricycles, which are commonly called tuk-tuk. So at least that's a good intervention from TechnoServe. And then also soil health. TechnoServe is supporting input dealers like the fertilizer sellers, and also sellers of pesticides, to help educate the farmers on how best they can spray their crops without damaging the environment, and then also these wastes, these chemicals not ending up in the market, because some farmers spray a few days before they take these products to the market, and that has health implications to the consumers. So TechnoServe is trying to train these farmers to reduce on these chemicals, and also reduce on the post-harvest and all the losses. And then we're also advising farmers that for them to improve on the soil health, they should at least do things like agroforestry. They should improve on the manure management and application of this manure in the field. And then also crop residue management, just like the banana farmers do. Once they cut the banana, they retain all those residues in the soil, and that improves on the soil health. So we are also telling these horticultural farmers, instead of burning these residues or removing them from the gardens, they should retain them in the garden so that they can improve the soil health. If you do that, there are organisms in the soil which can break down the pesticides, and also which help in absorption of this nutrient. So we are saying for improved and sustainable production, there should be improvement in organic matter, which is decomposed crop like residues, and they can do this through application of the manures from the livestock. And from this study, we found that most of these farmers keep livestock, so they can as well improve on that manure management, so that we can improve soil health. Also, retaining residues in the gardens instead of burning them. It will reduce on the greenhouse gas emissions which cause climate change, but also improve on the fertility and soil health. Yeah, so that's it.
Is this the same scenario you found in other districts you moved and other regions?
Start. I'm Albert Kihangire. I work as the Monitoring, Evaluation and Learning Manager at TechnoSouth, specifically supporting the Horticulture Market Acceleration Project, in short HOTIMA. So, as TechnoSouth, we as an organization have changed strategy in the recent past, and most of our interventions are going to go in what I would call regenerative, meaning that the way we do interventions in agriculture or the way we do interventions in business, an aspect of regenerativeness has to be ingrained in it. It's something that is not so different from what we've been doing in terms of climate smart interventions. So as a project, before we deep dive into those interventions, we've carried out a study that has been conducted in 3 regions, and this study also specifically also touched on the Mount Elgon region where we are today, and we hired a consultant to go and determine for us 3 things. The first one is the soil health of most of the areas where our farmers are working. We sampled a few. The second thing that we determined was the carbon footprint, determine the level of emissions that most of the interventions that are at farmer side and at business side, what level, what amount of emissions those interventions are emitting into the air. And last but not least, we also did hydrogeological assessments, mainly determining the water levels in some of these areas that we're working in. The reason mainly for this is, as I've already mentioned, to give us a clear picture of how best to intervene in those areas. I'll give an example. For example, like the hydrogeological assessments are enabling the project to know which areas are good for building or constructing shallow wells rather than using the most expensive way of irrigation. We're trying to see which areas we can embark on to ensure that we try out the technology of shallow wells. So among the many things this study has helped us to do that, and the consultants disseminated their findings today. They were validated by the stakeholders that we invited, both from the private sector and at district level, and it has been a good workshop that is going to guide the consultants to finalize their report and mainly, specifically finalize the recommendations that they will give the project to embark on.
Someone is busy calling.
Captain Arnold, I'm the market admin, Tororo Central Market. TechnoServe has been working with market vendors in Tororo and have formed the groups that they sensitize vendors, especially on food safety and nutrition. And I am part of that team, and also being the market leader, I am always involved into issues of food and nutrition and safety, but also guiding vendors on the linkage with the trendy farmers in different locations.
So what are some of your findings as a market admin? What are some of the challenges your fresh...
The challenge is that there is a lot of knowledge gap between both farmers and the vendors, which in most cases results into a lot of wastage. If if you go to a garbage bank, you realize these garbage banks are normally full of fresh food products, which in turn also has other effects like emission of gases, which today in today's meeting was quite important. Those are issues that were being discussed and shared on how to reduce the emission of those gases.
After this initiative, what are your recommendations to the farmers and the vendors who deal in fresh
food? There needs to be a continuous imparting of knowledge to both farmers and market vendors, since these two groups are interlinked. In fact, I've always said markets can't do without farmers. Because when you look at these modern markets, generally they've been constructed with an agricultural-based background to support linkage between farmers and the suppliers, the market vendors.
In terms of garbage management, can you now go back from the knowledge you've gained and start separating like the garbage, the renewable and non-renewable?
We already started doing that long time ago.
Okay.
When we had the first training. Right now, as I'm speaking, we are doing what we call garbage sorting. That's why you see in Tororo, Central Market, we have never had issues with this garbage. Because we do our garbage sorting, and we've also encouraged other farmers who do process, who are involved in fish farming and all that. They come and as garbage sorted, they also come and pick. So we don't have any problem with garbage. Garbage does not even stay in our bank for long. Yes.
Besides the sanitation, what other benefits have you gained from sorting the garbage?
No,
in terms of manure and
of course it has end use, and we're thinking of trying to broaden it. It's one cheaper way of trying to create linkage, backward linkage, because as this is reduced, it also supports farmers elsewhere. In different ways.
Unless there's a message to the government, farmers, or stakeholders.
No, there's need to do a lot of farmer training and vendor continuous training, because knowledge keep changing, events keep changing, and the trends also keep changing.
The names and the title once again?
I am Okaka Peteronald. I am the market admin for Toro Central Market.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
The long-term implications of the mishandling of agricultural products and also the poor methods of farming.
So if we continue doing things the way we are doing, just spraying these pesticides without knowing the right pesticide, it can have, I'll give an example of spraying these pesticides a few days before they are taken to before these horticultural products are taken to the market. They have health implications. These chemicals can cause cancer, but if you manage them well, maybe say most of these chemicals, if you spray them 7 days before you take this product to the market, they will have broken down. And then also for the soils, we have to manage the soil. It's an environment, it's a system. We have to supply the right nutrients. We have to improve on the decomposed organic residues, because these ones provide a buffer. They help in breakdown of these chemicals which we are applying in the soil, and then they also improve on the efficiency of the uptake of the fertilizers that we apply in the soil. So when you are managing soils, you shouldn't only look at applying these inorganic fertilizers, but it should be integrated with the organic fertilizers like mulching, retaining the crop residues in the soil, application of the manures, and then also agroforestry. We have to keep live roots in our gardens, because those roots support organisms in the soil which play very, very important roles, like uptake of the nutrients, like breakdown of these plant residues, but also they break down these pesticides that we apply. So we are saying, when you want to manage the soils very well, look at supplying the nutrients through application of inorganic fertilizers, organic fertilizers, but also improving on the rotten residues in the soils, like retaining the crop residues and also application of the manure. If you do that, you can produce on the soil for a long time, and also it helps the soil to hold water for a much long time. So if and now you know in this current situation of climate change, when you retain water for a long time, at least you can avert or prevent this situation where it rains once and then it takes a long time. So if the water can hold water for a long time, you are becoming resilient or tolerant to climate change.
If
kati njogere mu lulimi ki?
yogera mu Luganda, yogera mu Luzungu, kyonna kisobola okubeerera ekyangu.
My name is Chamonge Saul Michael. I work as an agricultural extension officer under the Bulambuli District Local Government Production Department. I am basically based in Wihonge sub-county. We've been attending a dissemination workshop organized by TechnoSAF here at Wash and Wheels. They have been telling us the result of the soil tests that have taken in the eastern region, and it has shown that most of our soils are deficit in number of nutrients. We have learned on how to improve on our soils by adding manures to improve the soils. We have also gotten to learn on how we can conserve the soils. Basically, we've also gotten to know that there are gases that are harmful to the environment, what they call the greenhouse gases, methane, carbon dioxide, and nitrous oxide. So we have also learned how to manage or control the emission of the greenhouse gases.
Before this workshop, what had you done as extension workers to help your farmers understand the good methods of farming?
Before this, we have been engaging in training farmers. Basically, soil conservation, nutrient We have also been training farmers on safe use and handling of agro pesticides and fungicides.
What are some of the major challenges you find on the ground when you visit these farmers?
Yeah, there are challenges, like in our activity there are challenges. We try to train the farmers, but the adoption rates sometimes are too low. They can't pick on the practices very fast. Then, much as the trainings are given to them, they also don't have the management capacity maybe to procure the required agro inputs required to manage their crops.
As extension workers, what are some of the challenges you face while interacting with the farmers, you as the extension workers? During your work?
Yes. Yeah, the farmers expect handouts. So when you get to them, you talk to them, you recommend probably a particular fertilizer or pesticide. Being a government worker, they will demand that you provide for it. Yet your primary activity is to deliver the knowledge to the farmers.
What could be your recommendations to government and its agencies plus the farmers? Let's start with the farmers, then you go to government.
Yeah, with the farmers, I recommend that farmers join savings groups, village savings and loan associations so that they can manage to procure farm inputs through their small savings. Government also should continue using the PDM model to provide finances to farmers. I would also recommend that government, through commercial banks, subsidizes loans for farmers, cheap loans for farmers to access, so that they can be able to manage their farming activities.
Thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome.
In about 10 years, 20, would you have a very positive impact on climate change? Would we reverse the adverse effects of climate change?
Yeah, so if you can do these practices for a long time, most of these practices which we are recommended, like at farm level, retaining crop residues, application of manure, agroforestry, also minimum tillage, that's tilling the farm not so much before you plant. You can till once before you plant. So if you do that, first of all, you are going to reduce on the greenhouse gas emissions, which cause climate change. So you are going to reduce on the impact of climate change, right? Also, these practices improve productivity. We are saying the farmers may not be concerned with these greenhouse gas emissions, but for them they want yields. So these practices, as much as they reduce on the greenhouse gas emissions, they also improve on the yield of the farmers. So we are having higher productivity and good quality products for the market.
Any final message to the farmers and the general public?
Yeah, I would like to encourage the farmers. These things which we are saying, we have tested them elsewhere. We have seen their impacts. We have seen how they improved on the yield, how they improve on the soil health. So I encourage farmers to at least listen to what the extension farmers, to what the extension officers tell, tell them, and I also encourage farmers to apply manure, on the soil, and and then also I encourage the farmers to get involved in groups, because when they're in groups, they can be educated as a group, and they can also access other services as a group.
Finally, the role of government. How do you think the government can come in and support you and the farmers as well?
So for the government, it plays a very, very big role. I'll give an example of the misuse of the chemicals. Like there are those chemicals which they spray, maybe say on tomatoes, that yellowish powder. So it's the government which has to come up and make policies and say, we don't want these chemicals. We don't want to, we don't have we shouldn't allow this maybe tomatoes in the market which have these chemicals. And then also government produce, they're the ones who provide most of the extension. So I would now for the manure management to be included in their extension service, even crop residue management to be included in their extension service, because at the moment those things are not considered so much. But once we implement that, it can change a lot of things. It can improve on our soil health and also reduce on the greenhouse gas emissions.
Thank you, sir.
What we found in other regions in terms of adoption of this, what they call climate smart practices, which are the same practices which improve soil health and also reduce on the greenhouse gas emissions, is across all the regions. The adoption is very low. There are very few farmers who are doing agroforestry. There are very few farmers who are applying manure. There are very few farmers who are applying inorganic fertilizers, like those NPKs. So the adoption is low, and its low reason is there's lack of information. So in the next phases of these projects, we are going to make sure that farmers are given this knowledge, say on which agroforestry trees should be planted, on how to manage manure, on the importance of manure. Some farmers think manure is just a waste, yet it can be used to improve on our soils, on our soil health. So the adoptions are low because of lack of information. Other farmers lack other farmers lack capital. Other farmers lack capital to invest in this technology. So we are saying that if farmers can come together, form corporates, and maybe link up to the input dealers, they can give them these inputs, maybe say on credit, and then they can pay later. And TechnoServe can organize that